John was my only child. He was loving, outgoing, smart.
William was the life of the party, and he was a true humanitarian.
Zakeem was the artist. He had a really big heart. If he said that he loved you, he showed you versus telling you.
What brought me here, unfortunately, my only child was murdered March the 13th, 2007.
William was murdered in 2005, March the 22nd of 2005.
I came because Evangeline created a portrait of my son, Zakeem Thomas, who was murdered July 13, 2021.
I heard about this program and I wanted to be involved. I wanted to see my son in a portrait, but when I got here, it was a whole different story, seeing it like it was live.
The paint that the artist used, the colors, everything was just like bright, so it was a representation of my son, so it makes me feel a little bit closer to him.
He was my Valentine's Day present to my husband, and he was born February 13th, 1973. He was just a people person. At 13, in school, he gave away bread and food to the poor. And it touched my heart that God gave me this gift, and that he was such a good person.
He was intelligent, happy, goofy, a sports lover, and a well-dresser. But the most important thing that he did for me and left me was a granddaughter. She never met her dad, but the memories that I talk about, she knows her dad.
He went out of his way to help anybody, and it didn't matter if he knew you or you were a complete stranger. He was a great son, grandson, uncle, and brother. He cooked, he danced. He just wanted to brighten any mood, and he was always like that.
I was emotional when I seen him and all the other people memorialized. It's beautiful, but it's sad. So it's a lot of emotions that's going around.
Losing him, I can say, was very devastating to my family as a whole.
I'm one of the artists here who painted a portrait of John, who's Stephanie Mobley's son.
I know he's not here, but it's always something that I will always cherish.
I think for her, she really wants to see change happen. She doesn't want things to stay the same. She doesn't want this to happen to other people.
I am one of the artists. I painted a portrait of Jude Chaco, who was 22, when he made the acquaintance of some people he thought were his friends, and he was wrong, unfortunately, and he's now no longer with us. He was very fun-loving when you got to know him. He was a little guarded by the sounds of it at first, and then he would be your best friend. And I'm really sorry I never got to know him.
This project is invitational rather than confrontational. You can't argue somebody into changing their mind if they're determined to think what they think. But if you invite them into a story without trying to argue, without trying to change their minds, but just let them feel the loss and feel the heartbreak, that emotional experience can cause change where sometimes argument can't.
And I had a question in mind when I painted him, which was I wanted him looking straight at the viewer, not smiling, as if to ask, what kind of a world would take the life of a good person like me?
When somebody else acknowledges what you're going through, it makes you feel a little bit better because it's like somebody else understands. Even if you don't completely understand because you haven't been through it, you can empathize with my pain.
We miss our babies. Now that I have him right there in front of me as an artist, it means the world to me. That's what it means.
He's gone but not forgotten, and that I know that I'll see him again, and God has him. God has him.
I really appreciate Soul Shot's portrait and the artist Evangeline for creating this, not just for me, but for all the other families here, because it really helps to bring a little bit of healing in a broken place.